Beautiful day, Patriots. How are you? Let's talk about why is it so important to educate yourself instead of just blindly just thinking that you're getting educated by watching the TV. I mean, we know that the politicians lie, we know the TV lies, and we still go to those sources for truth. So why is it so important to educate yourself instead of just repeating what you are being told? Just like schools, if you give this answer, you pass. If you don't give this answer, you don't pass. Yeah? And so we're going to use California as an example of why it's so important to educate yourself. Because in California, like I said, I grew up in California as a kid, moved away, and then I was just spent 2 years in California 2 years ago. And so this past 2 years, I got to relive that mentality of Southern California and what it's like, where my influences come from and where my personality comes from. And, I would talk to my friends and would be quite shocked of how liberal of the viewpoints are in Southern California. And like I said, we're using California as an example. And in California, they're like, oh, we don't want the police. And then now crime is just out of control. Maybe some of these liberals might think differently now that they've actually had their own stuff stolen and that there is no police to protect them and that they don't have guns, so they can't even protect themselves. And they're snowflakes and they're too soft to actually be able to be alpha males and alpha females to be able to protect themselves. You know what I'm saying? We're just using California as an example of a mentality. Okay? And in California is also where the open borders are, and there's everybody is a citizen. Well, there is a lot going on that aspect too. There is organized crime that is not from America that permeates in Southern California, that affects people that have lived and are born and raised and are tax-paying citizens in America. That their taxes are supposed to go towards fire departments, hospitals, roads, police departments. But they've been talked into defunding the police out of political correctness. And they're paying the price for it right now. They pay incredible amounts of fuel prices down there. And one of my friends that was down there that follows CNN religiously, when I was down there, CNN was pushing that they should burn the Bible. And my friend said to me that he agrees that at that time, because that's just what they were telling him to say, and then he believed it, and he would have voted to burn the Bible. Even though he had never read the book himself, he felt he had enough information to dictate that we should burn every Bible on the face of the earth so that nobody should be able to read it, even though he hadn't read it himself. And the only way I can explain that is by witchcraft, by you sitting there saying, I never read this, but I forbid you to read it. As a matter of fact, I say nobody in the future ever in all time should ever be able to read it. I mean, could you imagine the lostness, the audacity, the just being so lost to have that kind of mentality? And it's not his mentality. It's the brainwashing that's been happening to him. So let's continue with California just as the example of the mentality that's down there of being brainwashed. Okay. Now, in the school systems that's just out of control down in California, that's, pick a subject on where that wants to go. My favorite is their library, their books that they chose to pick in there. They didn't get in there by accident. But that's another subject for another time. But in the California school system, they don't teach cursive writing, right? And you might think, well, that's no big deal. We don't use that anymore. We use the computer and stuff. But our historical documents, the Bill of Rights and our Constitution, is written in cursive writing. Actually, Old English cursive writing. But if you don't know how to read cursive writing, somebody could show you your rights legally, but if you can't read the documents, you wouldn't know how to stand up and say legally, these are my rights. And that's what happened in slavery time, or any time they keep people oppressed. You know, it's against the law to teach a slave how to read, because if they read, they would understand and be able to read the laws and realize that this is unholy of a situation. So they forbid people to be educated slaves. They keep the lower class uneducated. And right now in the news, as we speak, they are going with, taking math. It's just headlines. It's just fluff. It's just for emotional stuff. But they really are doing this at the same time, taking math out of the curricular system. Here where I live in Oregon, Kate Brown's already said that in high school, you no longer have to pass any type of a math equivalency test to pass high school. So math is being taken out of all of our education, and it will slowly be down to nothing. With the system that they've got, that new math system, I can't think of it right now, the Common Core, Common Core math. Ridiculous, okay? Absolutely a ridiculous way of doing math. And then you say, well, that's really no big deal because I've never used math my whole life and I don't know how that would really be that important. We've got computers and calculators and all that. And I say, yeah, you're probably right about that. It's probably no big deal. But let me ask you something. Let's say in the future, as we move forward in time, and it looks like, I'm just saying that it looks like we might be going into a digital age, okay? And this new reset that's getting ready to happen, it's possible that we might start using digital money, correct? And we know that currency, even though you and I use a $1 bill and go to the store and buy $1 worth of groceries, it actually fluctuates. The dollar fluctuates. The cost of eggs is not the same price every single day. So therefore our dollar fluctuates just at the supermarket, but it also fluctuates through other currencies around the world and other ways that it's set up. Yes? So if we're going to move forward in a digital currency, and you don't know how to do math, and you work 1 hour, and you get paid 1 Bitcoin, let's say 1 Bitcoin, okay, per hour. Well, we know that it fluctuates a Bitcoin every single second, moment, day, hour. Not to mention that it's manipulated. But see, when you have a dollar bill like we have now, you can buy your money and buy something without being tracked, but also your 1 hour is always going to be worth the $1. But when it's digital and it's worth 1 Bitcoin, and every single second the Bitcoin price changes, your hourly rate would change. So when you got your receipt, or your receipt from your daily wages, and it says, okay, you worked 1 hour, you got 1 Bitcoin, and a Bitcoin, when we gave it to you, was worth 0.0000000.421677 times 1 hour. Here's your money. How would you ever be able to know if it is accurate or not? If you can't do simple math, how are you going to be able to convert your money per hour and then take and say it's worth 1 Bitcoin today to buy your bag of, or your box of eggs, your gallon of milk? How would you ever know the price of anything if you can't even do the simplest math? Is there an agenda in our education system that is trying to dumb us? Everybody says it's true, but nobody really thinks and tries to educate themselves out of the system, even though they know it is dumbing us down.